When you don't equip your children, the time when you retire, when you should be resting, that is when they will become nuisance to you. You are welcome to another session on how to identify a sexual predator, or let me say how to help our children to identify a potential sexual predator. In the last series, we talked about two signs, which is one, creation of unsolicited familiarity, and secondly, we talked about creation of false humility. If you have not listened to that video, please, you can go on my YouTube channel, Dr. John S. Balogun, so that you can watch that episode, and I believe that you will be blessed. Remember to subscribe to this channel, and also when you subscribe, click on the notification button so that when we make a new post, you will get notification for that new post. And also when you like and make comment and share, YouTube will see this video as recommendable, and then they can recommend it to other people who will equally benefit from it. Please, let's work together to achieve a greater goal, and God bless you. So today we move on to talk about more signs of potential sexual predators that our children should be on the lookout for. Remember, I said it in the last episode that when we don't equip these children with necessary information that will help them to know what is the sign of a problem, even when they find themselves in that problem, they will not run from the problem because they will not even see it as a problem. It is what we have taught them to be a problem that they will be able to identify as a problem. So it's important that we equip them with all of this information. So number 3 things I'm going to talk about, or let me say the third thing I'm going to talk about, is some people will just come when they notice that somebody come and is touching them on their private parts. Touching them on their private parts. They should know that that person is likely a potential predator. And you believe with me, based on the story I shared with you in the last episode, that a sexual predator can even be a child. How do you explain finding a 6-year-old sucking the penis of a 7-year-old in a school toilet? The 7-year-old boy got the 6-year-old boy to suck his own penis. How do you explain that? A child can also be a sexual predator. So you should not just fixate your mind that, oh, the sexual predators we are talking about are adults. They can also be children. However, if you have taught your boy or you have taught your girl that if anybody touches your private part, report to your teacher or report to me, the first day that that boy has the 6-year-old boy to touch his own penis or suck it, that is the first day that that boy is going to cry out and say, auntie, uncle, mommy, daddy, see what this person asked me to do. And from that point, you'll be able to rescue your own child from that evil, and peradventure, you'll be able to rescue that other child that has already been molested, because definitely there will be an adult somewhere that is molesting that child. So it's important that we educate our children on what their private part is and what their public part is. Very importantly, we should let them know, because for instance, when you are bathing your child, let them know that it is in that bedroom. Teach the boy and say, this is your penis. As your mother, I'm not supposed to be touching it. The reason you see me touching it is because I'm washing it, I'm bathing you. Otherwise, I'm not supposed to be touching it. That is how we keep them. And if, let's say you are a father and you are bathing your girl, your small girl, maybe 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, when you are washing her vagina, washing her buttocks, washing the parts of her body, be talking to her, be explaining to her and say, see, the reason that I'm touching this part of your body with sponge is because I am bathing you. It is not a normal thing for me to be touching it. Don't allow anybody to touch it. If you have desensitized your own child to see it as normal for you, who is a parent or is parent, you have desensitized her to see it as a normal thing to touch their private part, there will never be any stranger who will be able to touch that private part. Why? because you have made them realize that it is not normal for anybody to touch their private part. Their private part is private to them. It is part of them. In the same way, some of us would like to kiss our children. Let's talk to them that, see, as your daddy, I will not, or your mommy, I will not kiss you on your lip, because your lips are part of your private part. I would rather kiss you on your forehead, or kiss you on the back of your arm, or back of your hand, and so on, but never on your lips. So if I don't kiss my child on her lip or his lip, do you think he or she will allow any other person to kiss them? Definitely not. When we do this, we are keeping our children against sexual predators. For the older one, by the time they enter puberty, you notice that your girl is beginning to grow breasts, the hip is becoming bigger, the buttocks, and so on. And you notice that your boy is also growing muscles, becoming more mature, and so on. When you notice all of this, it is time for you to now teach them about their private part also, that their breasts is part of their private part, including their cleavages on their own part. They should not expose those parts of their body to anyone. They should not make it to become something that will become a public stare, public gaze. Rather, they should make sure that they are well covered. Let them know what their private part is, their breast, including the cleavages, their laps, the back of their laps, meaning that you will encourage them to always wear dresses that are below their knees, not the one that is above their knees. Because once any dress is above their knees, it becomes easy for them to expose their private part. Let them know that their laps are part of their private part, their breasts, their buttocks, they should not expose that to anybody. And for the boys, you tell them about ethic of normal dressing when they are in the house or when they are going on the street. It is not they should not walk the street with ordinary boxer, ordinary pants. They should not walk the street wearing no clothes, exposing their chest everywhere. They should not do that. When they do all of this, they may be exposing themselves to potential sexual predators. Don't think it is only girls that are being predated upon or preyed upon. Boys are equally also being preyed upon. So you should make sure that you keep them with all of this information. And very importantly, as parents, let us model decency. Let's model the covering of the body, because our children, they are the message that we send to the world. The question is, what message are we sending? And the message they take from us to the world is not the message we tell them to take to the world. It is the message they see us passing to them through our practical daily living. So the question is, how are you living? How do you dress yourself? Are you dressing to put your children at risk of sexual predators? As parents, we must be ready to live a life that we want our children to propagate. If we don't want to put them at risk of being victims to these evil people, we must protect them by living an exemplary life of decency. Because, like I said, our children are the message we send to the world. When we see your child, we can predict who you are. It does not matter what you say. It does not matter what you know. It does not matter who you are. When we see your child, we can predict what type of parent you have been or what type of parent you are. So it is very important that you teach your children to propagate correct image about you. They should always wear dresses that covers their body very well, and those dresses that do not expose their body contours. The more they cover their body, the more value they preserve. Let's teach our children this. The more part of your body you cover up, the more value you will be preserving. Before I move to another sign, I would like to mention here, still under touching of private part. Yes, the hand may not be a private part, but let your boy know that just holding their hands can make them to lose control of themselves. They should be careful who they hold hands with. When they allow a man to hold their hands or put their hand around their waist, they will be making themselves vulnerable to abuse, rape, and molestation. They should not allow, it is something you should teach them to frown at, that no man should put their hand around their waist as a girl. They should not allow any man to hold their hands. They should prevent that, they should resist it, not because they are suspecting everybody, but because they just want to remain safe. It's not because you want to teach them antisocial way of life. No, you are equipping them for them to remain safe. And it's important because, like I said, you are the primary and the chief security officer of your child. When you don't equip your children, the time when you retire, when you should be resting, that is when they will become nuisance to you. Please don't neglect all of this that we are talking about at this time. Finally, before I move on to the next sign, another thing you should caution your children against is what I call 360-degree hugging. 360-degree hugging, especially for those who are becoming older, the boys who are getting older, the girls who are getting older, so that you can protect their mind. When you hug someone of the opposite gender, as a girl, there is something on your chest that will touch that boy. As a boy, there is something on that girl's chest that is going to touch your body. You must intentionally prevent what I call a 360-degree hugging. That you hug yourself like this. As much as possible, go with a 180-degree where you just hug each other side to side. That is safer than a 360-degree hugging. It is important also that you put your mind at peace. When you finish hugging a girl or a boy, research has shown that most hugging moments don't leave the mind so quickly. It is when you now get to the house, all of those things will begin to play in your head, and that playing may make you to now lose control of your sexual urge. And when you meet that person the next time, you may lose guard and you may become molested, raped, when you decide to say no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. And because the hormones have been shoot up unnecessarily, the person may want to force themselves on you. Don't make yourself vulnerable. Protect yourself jealously. Protect your children jealously. You see, how sweet will it be if every parent can listen to this video and watch this video? Please share it. Share this video with others so that they can learn some of these things that we are discussing. Is so important. How beautiful will it be if all our girls, our boys have been taught sex education from when they are kids till they grow through childhood and adolescenthood and so on? How beautiful will our world be? Parents, God will help us. We will not fail the next generation in the name of Jesus. Please let us rise up and teach our children what they need to know so that we can have a better society. So I'm going to go to the next one now, which is visitation to the opposite gender alone. Visitation to the opposite gender alone. Please, as parents, let us not put our children in the way of temptation. Let's not put them in the path of sin. Let us not put them on the pathway of evil. Don't send your child to go and deliver message or to do anything at all to someone who is of the opposite gender. Please don't do it. It is not safe. When you send your child the first time, you send the second time, the third time, by the time the child is going there the third, the fourth time, the child now feel more relaxed because the child has realized that, oh, this person is mommy or daddy's partner, so I can go there. And some evil people, I'm not saying these people you send them to are evil, but you never can tell who will be evil ones among them. If you must send them, please send them in pairs. Preferably a boy and a girl who are your children go together into somebody's house. That is safer. Please, these are things you should teach them. If you have taught them practically, you can now go ahead and say, okay, don't ever visit a boy alone. Don't ever visit a girl alone. When we pass this information to them, it sticks with them. And even when their friends are putting pressure on them to come visit them alone, you will see them resisting and say, no, I will not do it. No, I will not do it. And then you also add on to it and say, see, whenever you feel pressured by your friend, if your friend is forcing, because they will feel the pressure. It is not a matter of if, it is when. Whenever they feel pressure, tell them, please, before you take a decision, come and tell me about what they're asking you to do so that we can discuss it. Always give your child an open allowance to be able to communicate with you. Also, some elderly person or even their teachers may ask them to come to their house alone. We have seen this. By the grace of God, I was a teacher for 3 good years before I embarked on my medical career. And in a secondary school, during those periods, I see the way some teachers molest secondary school students. And it was during my teaching career that I caught this vision. I just woke up one day and then I was just filled with burden. I noticed that some girls, they always flock around some particular masters, some teachers, and those teachers were messing up with them. I became concerned. So I started talking to them, to these girls, these boys, and say, you can keep yourself as virgins. You can remain virgins until you marry and all of that. So the more I talk to them, one day one of the boys just say, Master Sheyi, there is no girl, there is no virgin again in this world. It was like somebody put a dagger into my heart. There are no virgins, and by the grace of God, at that time I was 19 years old. I was still a virgin to the glory of God. And I told myself, if I am still a virgin at 19, definitely there should be so many others who are virgins. So at that point, I gathered some boys and girls, I think from senior classes, and then I quickly did a survey, anonymous survey. I wrote in plenty small papers. I now gave it to them individually, one by one, just like a quick survey. And it was just 2 questions I asked. 1, are you still a virgin? 2, if yes, why are you still a virgin? If no, what happened to you? Then after some time, I went and collected. I told them not to put their names, so I collected it back. Do you know that was the beginning of this work that I am doing? I got different responses, and I realized that among the children, among those people that I gave those papers, 83% of them were still virgins. Some of them said the reason they are still virgins is because they don't have a boyfriend. Some of them said the reason they are still virgins is because their mommy will beat them if they have a boyfriend. So they gave different reasons why they are still virgins. And I was so happy, and I took up from there, and I started teaching them the right things for them to know, the correct information they need to know, and gradually that was how I found my calling. Then I started teaching them, see, don't go to the house of any teacher alone. If you must go to the teacher's home alone, always go with a friend. Don't go alone, and don't visit a boy alone. Don't visit a girl alone. I started teaching them all of these things, and to the glory of God, God used those periods to help several of them. Like, I've met many of them, most of them are now married, and each time they meet me, they are grateful that I came across their path at a certain point in their life. So it is very important to equip our children with this information, because some of these teachers, some of these elderly people, they are evil men, they are evil women. They can molest them. Some people will even molest them and still deny them, or even imply that they are the bad people. They will tell them that they are the bad ones. I remember it was so terrible. I think how old was I? Maybe I was 8 or 7 at that time. I was so small. The memory is still so vague in my head, but I still remember, because till today I still feel guilt of what I did that time. A girl of my age, I took her to the toilet. I wanted to do whatever, all those evil things. I wanted to do it with her, but I think I was a little bit older than her. But I think we should be around the same age bracket. So when we were inside the toilet, then the elder sister, do you know, I was like 8 years old at that time, but do you know, I still remember the name of that girl. I still remember the name of her sister. I still have the vivid picture of all the events that happened. So this is what happens if your child gets molested at that age. Even when they become adults, the memory is still clear in their head. This is why we must protect them. This is why we see a lot of broken adults. Why? Because they were broken when they were still children. Broken at a time when you didn't know that they were broken. They kept it to themselves. They did not tell anybody, but they kept suffering the consequences of their brokenness, even till adulthood. So, like I was saying, that was how we were caught by the elder sister before we even did anything. So the girl came out and she was crying. She was crying. Whereas I was the one that took her to that toilet. We were small, 8 years. This was several years ago. And I can still remember. This thing I'm telling you is more than 30 years, but still clear in my head. So what was it that made me to feel bad? That is making me to feel bad till now? Yes, I know God has forgiven me, because all of those I did when I was ignorant, I don't even know what I was doing at that time. When in the evening the parent came, yes, the other sister reported her, and following the report, I was invited to their sitting room, because we're neighbors. I was invited to their sitting room, and they asked me, why did you take so girl to the toilet? I said, no, I only went inside the toilet, and she came and opened the toilet door and came and met me in the toilet. That was the lie I told. The same thing that these sexual predators normally do. When they eventually mess up your child, they will still blame your child. They will tell you that it is your child that wants to do it with them. They will turn the table around. So it is important that we don't even allow it to happen. Today we have talked about teaching your child not to allow anyone to touch their private part, and charity begins at home. This should begin with you. Don't confuse them. When you confuse them, when they go outside, they will just assume that, okay, since daddy and mommy can do it to me, I should allow other people to do it to me. So lead by example. Be their role model. Then secondly, I've talked about visitation to the house of opposite gender alone. This should never happen. This, we should teach them that when a boy or a girl is asking them to come to their house alone, their answers should be no. I hope that you have learned a few things today. Please, let's meet again in the next series. I look forward to meeting you. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share, so that other people also can be blessed. God bless you.